बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। स्टूडेंट्स, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। ये चैप्टर नंबर 6 सेकेंड ईयर के जो पेपर्स आ रहे हैं फ़िज़िक्स मैथमेटिक्स के, जो उसके सेकेंड ईयर के बोर्ड के एग्ज़ाम्स हैं, उस हवाले से ये जो चैप्टर 6 है कॉनिक सेक्शन, ये बच्चे के मैसेज भी मुझे आए कि आप इसको एक्सप्लेन कर दें। तो मैंने और भी बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस जो कि इस छोटे से टाइम के अंदर अपलोड करूँगा मैं, लेकिन ये एक सेक्शन है जितना हो सका 2-3 लेक्चर्स के अंदर, 3-4 लेक्चर्स में, यानी कि 2 तारीख को बोर्ड का पेपर है मेरे मुताबिक, लाहौर बोर्ड का और बाकी जो पंजाब के सारे बोर्ड्स हैं मैथमेटिक्स का सेकेंड ईयर का। तो उस हवाले से जितना ये चैप्टर हो सका आई विल ट्राई माई बेस्ट कि ये मैं उस वक्त तक करवा दूँ। ये चैप्टर बड़ा अहम है, ख़ास तौर पे इसके जो पहली 3 एक्सरसाइजेज हैं वो बहुत ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है। 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, इसमें डेफिनेशंस जो हैं बहुत ज़्यादा अहमियत की हामिल है, और उन्हीं डेफिनेशंस की बुनियाद पे जो क्वेश्चंस हैं 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, उन क्वेश्चंस को आप आसानी के साथ कर सकते हैं। तो हम सबसे पहले आगाज़ करते हैं कि ये कॉनिक या कॉनिक सेक्शन क्या है। हम आज के इस लेक्चर में जो मेरे पास टॉपिक्स हैं वो हम इंट्रोड्यूस करेंगे, कॉनिक्स और कॉनिक सेक्शन। उसके बाद हम जाएंगे सर्कल को डिफाइन करने में, फिर हम डिस्कशन करेंगे पैराबोला, हाइपरबोला, ellipse. We will discuss all these geometrical shapes at introductory level, and how these all geometrical shapes are produced with the help of cone and a plane. So before going into the detail of all this sort of, let us consider what is actually conic section itself. Uh, to make it understand, the conic section, or simply conics, the conics section or simply conics are parts of a right cone when it is cut by a plane at different angles. So this what we are going to explain. What is actually conic section? Conic section, or simply the conics, are the parts that are obtained by cutting a right circular cone with a plane at different angles. So first of all, we would like to make you sure what is actually the meaning of cone and how the cone is produced. What is the meaning of cone and how the cone is produced? To make it understand it clearly, let us consider we have a line that pass through, we have a line, and I suppose that line actually RS is a line which actually pass through the center of a circle. That's why there is no need to draw the circle. For just easiness, I am considering this is a line uh, denoted by RS. Why I am representing it RS? Because it has been mentioned in your book. If you study the second year introductory page of this chapter 6, you will find RS is a line. Okay, suppose RS is a line and it passes through the center of a circle. All these are not shown, they have directly shown the picture of cone and different sections of the cone by in which a plane is cutting a cone at different angles, but we will see why and how this cone is produced. So first of all, what you need to remember how this cone is produced. We have a straight line and we are considering this straight line is passing through a point A, center of the circle. Okay, so suppose that this is a straight line which actually pass through a center of a circle. Circle I have shown, it could be at the bottom, it could be at the top, it could be at any place. Let's see, this is actually the circle which is passing, this line passing through the center of a circle. Okay, let's see, A is a point. A is a point on this line. Suppose that A is a point on this line such that all the points on the circumference of the circle, all the points on the circumference of the circle and the line, whenever all these points are joined, and similarly if we have a circle at upper end as well and all these points, if you join all these points with this point A, you actually get two cones. And these lines which pass through the point A, these lines which pass through the point A, these lines are called generators of cones. And here we have a cone consisting of two naps. This upper portion, this is called upper nap, and this is called lower nap. So all what you need to remember, and these lines which pass through the point A and join point A to all those points present at the circumference of the circle, all these lines are called rulings or generators of a cone. So this is a way how a cone is produced. And the line that we introduced at introductory level, I introduced you earlier, which passed through the center of the circle represented by RS. This line is called axis of cone. This line is called axis of cone, and that point is called A, vertex of cone. So this what all you need to remember. These are all objective type, maybe asked in exam in entry test. You need to remember what is actually the axis of cone, what is upper nap, what is lower nap, what is the vertex, what are the generators or the rulings of the cone. So this is the way by which we can produce a cone. There is a separate thing in which we will discuss how we get the circle, how we get the parabola, how we get the hyperbola, and how we get the ellipse by cutting of this cone. And how this cone is being cut, we will cut this cone by a rectangular plane surface. Whenever this surface is cut, whenever this cone is cut by such a plane surface, you get multiple figures like circle, parabola, hyperbola, and ellipse. So this is what you need to remember. I would like to repeat it once again, so that you can have a better idea how a cone is produced and what is the concept behind conic or the conic section. Let's see, we have a line RS, and this line actually passes through the center of circle, and I suppose there is a circle at top and there is a circle as top and bottom as well. This is the RS is a line, and A is a point which pass through this line, or A is a point which lies on this RS line. Okay, all those points, all those lines from the circle will pass through a single point A. Similarly, all points present at the circumference of the circle. When you join all points present at the circumference of the circle, listen carefully, you can make it pause and can listen what I am explaining over here. I am explaining all those points present on the circumference of the circle. If we draw the line to that point A and it will pass through A, you will get actually a right circular cone. Okay, all these points here you can see, and this line is called axis of cone, the point from where all these lines are passing. Okay, remember, all these lines which passing through point A are called rulings or generators of cone. This is a maybe asking definition, define generator of the cone. So what will be the definition? The line that drawn from the point present on the circumference of the circle and pass through the vertex of the line RS is called ruling or generators of the cone. Why generator? Because these lines actually form the basis of the cone, by which you can define what is cone and how the cone is formed. That's why they are called generators of the cone, and they all pass through a single point A, which is called vertex of cone. These lines are called rulings, and the line which passes through the center of the circle and the vertex of the cone is called axis of cone. This is called upper nap, and this is the lower nap. So this is what all we need to remember, the exact definition of the conic section and the introduction behind the conics. So I hope so you have all can have a better idea what is cone, how the cone is produced, what are the generators and what are the rulings, and what is the vertex of cone, what is the lower nap, what is the upper nap. This is what all we had learned till so far. Now, the next section we will discuss what is conic section. I have introduced you a cone and how the cone is produced. Now we will have an idea on the conic section, conics or the conic section. Okay, let's talk about conics and the conic section. Okay, let's see, we have this cone. This is the vertex of cone. This is actually axis of cone. This is generator or generator of cone, and this is the lower nap, upper nap, and this is a lower nab. These are parts of a right circular cone. Okay, now let's say we have a plane. This is a two-dimensional surface, x-axis and y-axis. This is called plane. Now we will start cutting this cone with help of this plane. Remember, once again, we will cut this right circular cone with help of this plane, and we will obtain different geometrical figures, different geometrical shapes. If you cut the cone exactly perpendicular to the axis of cone, I am repeating the word, if you cut the cone perpendicular to the axis of cone, you will get a circle. How? Let's see. Let's say this is a circle and I cut this exactly at 90 degree. You can see 90 degree to what? 90 degree to axis of rotation. I have cut the plane exactly, I have cut the cone exactly by 90 degree, and I get a geometrical shape which is known as circle. I would like to repeat it again. If you cut the cone by an angle of 90 degree, a 90 degree to what? Axis of rotation. So we get a circle. So if someone asks you how we define the circle, there is a separate discussion on the circle, and later on we will see how to define the circle. But circle is actually the part of a cone, and how it is obtained? When we cut the cone by a plane, and plane must be perpendicular to the axis of rotation, so we get a circle. Okay, now if this plane pass through the vertex, this is also another point. If this plane pass through the vertex of cone, so we get actually point circle. Remember, if it is less than or above the vertex, we will get simply a circle. If the plane cutting the cone exactly near, above or below the vertex of cone, we get a circle. If exactly cut the vertex, we get point circle. So this was how the circle and point circle are obtained. Now the other part is next, parabola. Let's see, we have a cone, a right circular cone, and all parts here, I'm sure you can have a better idea. This is called actually axis of cone. These are called generators. Now if you cut the cone by a plane, simply a tilted angle, not perpendicular, simply a tilted angle at certain angle. First you cut the plane, you cut the cone exactly by 90 degree. When you cut the cone exactly at 90 degree to the axis of the cone, we get a circle. Now you are cutting slightly at certain angle. When you cut the cone slightly at certain angle, you get another geometrical shape which is called ellipse. Ellipse becomes equal to circle under a special case. So we will discuss at the end of this chapter, 6.7 or 8 exercise at the end of this chapter, but it's too early to discuss. So there is a discussion, there is a difference between ellipse and a circle. A circle is exactly a circular form. This is elliptical in nature. And what is the difference between ellipse and the circle and how they are obtained? A circle is obtained when you cut the nap exactly at 90 degree, you get a circle, and when you cut the nap exactly at slightly at tilted angle, we get an ellipse. Now the third one is, we have discussed circle, we have discussed ellipse, and now we will get parabola. Let's say we have a right circular cone. This is point A, which is the vertex of cone. Now, and this is the axis of cone. These are the generators. These lines are called generators. Here we have a plane. Now, if you cut the cone like this, if you cut the cone such that the plane is parallel to the generators, I'm repeating it again. If you cut the cone such that the plane is parallel to the generator, we get a shape which is called parabola. So what is the difference between circle, parabola and ellipse till so far? Let me make you remember, and at the last of this lecture I will showing you all the pictures by clearly depicting how and what is the basic difference among all these four figures. So what I am explaining it over here, if the cone is exactly if the plane is exactly parallel to the generator of the cone, then we get a shape which is called parabola. Obviously this may be looking some sort of boring one, but these are the core definitions and the core concepts being omitted by the most of the classes, most of the in academies. This section merely discussed in much details. And the last one, we are discussing hyperbola. Let's see, we have a cone. This is the vertex. This is actually axis of cone, vertex. Now we have a plane. Now you are actually cutting the plane such that it is parallel to axis of cone. When you cut the cone exactly such a way that it is, you get actually such figures, and this is called, these shapes are called hyperbola. So what is the difference between parabola, hyperbola and ellipse? Let me show you by presenting all these four figures in one go, and so that in the end we can have easily summarization of all those figures. Okay. This is the cone, and if we cut the cone exactly 90 degree with the plane is making 90 degree to the axis of cone, we get actually a circle. And the same is passed through the vertex of cone, we get a point circle. So this was actually the circle. Okay, now if we cut the cone at certain angle, not exactly 90 degree as we have cut in the previous figure, exactly 90 degree, we get the circle. Just by a tilted one, we get actually ellipse. Now, if we cut the cone such that the plane is parallel to the generators of cone, we get the figure which is called parabola. And finally, if we cut the cone exactly parallel to the axis of rotation like this, you get such shapes which is called hyperbola. So this is all what we have to discuss in conic section. In the next lecture we will see, we'll study the circle. I will try my best to finish this chapter till 6.3 before your exam. That's probably going to happen on 2nd of May, and inshallah later on it will be continued. So thank you so much. I would like to request you to subscribe the channel and spread it as much as to all those students who are unable to read some academy and all the notes. And plus the notes will be provided at the link given below. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.